he's done I won't say a lot for Highland wear, but a good amount for Highland wear. He is definitely a champion of made in Scotland companies. He's definitely a champion of Scottish mills. He's definitely a champion of the Sporran maker. He
Whiskey
is,
too.
yes. And he is a very, very well put together individual. You won't see him looking odd or sloppy or anything like that. You wouldn't expect to, but he does a very good job, with his outfits. He does have a very timeless, regal, at the risk of sounding like I'm, sucking up the royals, a regal style and a very nice, timeless style. It's a nice, classic, simple, understated, but well put together style, 100%.
I think understated is probably the key word. His jackets tend to be very similar to a Saxon wear jacket in that it's a kind of a medium width, medium depth lapel. No embellishments at all. So no no gauntlet cuffs, no epaulets. It's a 2-button jacket, usually, as from what I've seen. The waistcoat is a shawl collar and then flat across the bottom. I've looked at a few different portrait photos of His Royal Highness, and that's pretty much his go-to thing. You've seen a couple different colors, different fabric choices, but it's that cut. In some ways, it reminds me of suit stylings from the 1950s forward, but it is effectively timeless and is definitely understated. And yeah, it's something that's doable, right? I mean, you don't have to be royalty to wear a jacket like that, right?
Yeah, no, the from the jacket, and I'll extend it out to the sporrans and the other things that he wears as well. Those are again very, very timeless, classic, traditional. Now I would say this. He would, and this is not meant to sound like a plug, but it's gonna sound like a plug. I don't care. The sporran that I have on, this is a contemporary. It's different. It is a twist on a traditional sporran. Prince Charles, I could never see wearing something like this. It would not be in his wardrobe. Now, the one that Erik has on, this is a sporran, made by the same sporran manufacturer that is based on sporran one of his sporrans that Prince Charles wears. We actually just put this up on the website today. So if you go to usakilts.com, you can check it out. I won't say it's a historical reproduction because it's not a straight up reproduction, but it is inspired by the sporran that Prince Charles wears. His sporran is a brown leather, very, very simple. It's a little bit less, it's a little floppier because it's an older sporran, which is what this one is as well. But it has that nice big brown targe up top and then little tiny leaves on the bottom. It is a beautiful, timeless style. While the hunting sporran itself does not date back hundreds of years, it's only 50 years or so-ish that I could find when I was digging into it. Well, I guess 50 to 70 years. I was thinking 1950s. It is a really, really nice sporran that looks like it could date back further, and I just love them. I love hunting sporrans.
Yeah, you may have mentioned this before, but his, I think one of the reasons people love that sporran, this sporran, is that it feels weathered. You get the impression he's had it all of his life. That's part of the romance of this, is that when you have a signature piece of a sporran or something like that, or a kilt pin or something, it's a part of you. And you do tend to hold on to it, and you do tend to love it. It really is an old friend. And you really get that impression that, for all the pomp and circumstances stuff that he does, that this sporran, even though it looks like it's a little beat up, it's him. It's legit. It is legit, and that's where people get the impression that he really does love this stuff for its own sake, not just because he's being told he has to put on a show, or anything like that. So yeah, and it's just, I can tell you right now, just from wearing this, the design has been a tiny bit embellished from the original. It's actually slightly more complex in the leaves. Greg added a little extra panache to how the leaves are created. The targe is not as complex in terms of the number of studs, but it comes together perfectly. The leather is softer. It is very comfortable. I know that some people don't always like hunting sporrans because of the closure system or other, but I love it. I've only just been wearing it today, but it is just it feels right. I feel like I could go out and go deer stalking or something.
I will say
Perfect.
this. It also, it kind of with a beat-in looking kind of Sporran with something that is an older piece in your wardrobe that it's well loved and well worn, which is again back to the point about quality. Buying something that is going to last for a long time. It speaks to the heritage. It speaks to handing it down to your son, to your kid, to your grandkids, whatever. It speaks to the tradition. It speaks to the longevity of the style and of the heritage. So it all feeds into the whole thing of this is who we are. It's not just a throwaway piece of clothing that's going to be out of fashion. This is something that will be here when we are gone. This is something that will last, that will perpetuate through time over, hopefully hundreds and hundreds of years, but, into the future, period. It harkens backwards and forwards simultaneously.